rest who have to present.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so we will be starting with Biprodeep. Biprodeep, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So start. Turn on your camera.
Yes. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, start.
Good morning, ma'am, and my fellow peers. My name is Biprodeep Bera from the Department of Information Technology, and my topic for today is social media a boon or bane? Social media forms a very vital part of our lives. Currently, the social media population is around 4 billion users who are active. From Facebook to Instagram, social media has its roots. But what is social media? Talking about social media, so it may have many definitions. In fact, each person may have their own. But social media is basically a web based platform which allows its users to communicate, to share their thoughts and ideas and beliefs. A person may share their ideas using some texts, images, or videos. The persons who are using social media are called users, and the way of sharing is called posts. Social media has progressed steadily since the introduction of 6 degrees in 1997 to LinkedIn in 2002, to Facebook in 2004, to YouTube in 2005. Instagram, Snapchat, and WhatsApp are the current addition to this social media platform in 2010. So, what are the boons of social media? Talking about the advantages of social media are immense. Firstly, information. Social media has a lot of information in it. People in the rural areas can now access that information easily thanks to social media and the quickness of internet. People and news organizations share news and posts on social media, which also leads to the spread of information. But social media has really been a boon for students like us who can now avail the free internet resources, notwithstanding the millions of videos on YouTube which we can access for free for our learning. All this information is now at the tip of our fingers, which we can access so easily and which would not have been possible otherwise. Second, publicity tool. Social media is one of the greatest publicity tool. It allows the people on social media to achieve fame overnight. It allows just a one touch, just a one click on a post for it to go viral and create a storm on social media. Third, entertainment. Who does not visit social media for entertainment? Users visit social media regularly to watch videos and to share images. Connectivity. One of the major advantages of social media is its connectivity. With the ease to reach any part of the world, users can now make friends and connect to the world easily. Billions of users across the globe can now make friends while sitting at the comfort of their homes. Besides, it's also advantageous as it helps us to keep in touch with those people so easily thanks to Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Despite all these advantages, the addictive nature of social media proves to be its Achilles heel. According to a study, an average user spends 2.5 hours daily on social media. It is quite common for us to keep scrolling through Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts for hours. Wrong use of social media can lead to procrastination and immense time waste. Now, some other disadvantages of social media also include: first, fake news. Social media has a hefty amount of information in it. Nowadays, due to multiple sources being labeled as trusted sources, we tend to believe everything that is kept in front of us. It leads to the spread of fake news and misinformation, cybercrimes. Social media has a lot of people involved in it. Consequently, it also increases the risk of cybercrimes. Cases of threats, harassment, and cyberbullying over social media platforms are quite common these days. Health. One of the adverse effects on health is the main drawback of social media. People who spend majority of their times keeping their eyes fixed on the screens, scrolling through social media platforms, suffer from serious eye problems and obesity. Besides, Digitalization of communication has also led to the degradation of social communication, social interaction, and effective communication. Teenagers these days are introverts and tend to shy away from a real communication. There are millions of users why social media is a boon. But just like there are two sides of the same coin, there are a few disadvantages which tend to nullify all its good sides. Hence, the dividing line is but the discretion of the user. If the user is aware of the time he or she is putting into social media, she will only reap the good benefits. And if one can convert social media addiction into an income source by becoming the so-called influencer, then it is only a boon for them. But the majority of users like us who use social media as a source of entertainment and are not aware of the time he or she is investing without a purpose, it is only a lose-lose situation for them. Hence, I would like to conclude by saying that if we are aware of the time we are putting into it, that is, time management and productive usage can help us transform social media into the boon it was meant to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikrati. Sayantan,
Yes, ma'am.
start.
Good morning, everyone. Myself, Santavan Pal from Department of Information Technology. Today, I am going to talk about the rise of Indian football. Football is one of the most popular sports around the globe. Approximately 250 million players around the world play this beautiful game in more than 200 countries. And football in India still needs a lot of development. The dominance of cricket is massive in India, and it is indeed the most popular sport in the country. But in recent years, football has witnessed its rise. Football's ascent in India began many years ago when Indian club Mohun Bagan, a club founded in 1890s, became the first Indian side to win the IFSC even before the country's independence. But even after this, no one was paying attention since football was rambling around the world with no set course to follow. Following years, some football clubs emerged. India's biggest achievement could have been their participation, which is unfortunate in the 1950 World Cup, but they wished to withdraw due to lack of funds. Later in 1996, the first football tournament was created, known as National Football League, organized in three divisions. The National Football League was discarded in 2007, and I League, now known as the Hero I League, was introduced. Then, with a vision to expand football even more, the Reliance Foundation, in association with All India Football Association, launched Indian Super League in 2014, which is now known as Hero Indian Super League. Later in the year 2017, Indian Super League got recognized by AFC, which is known as Asian Football Confederation, and with this, the winner of ISL was granted a spot in the AFC Cup. Nevertheless, Indian football came to prominence when they qualified for the 1950 World Cup, which was very unfortunate that India could not play due to lack of funds. But it was not until the Indian football squad made a significant impact. India won its inaugural Nehru Cup in 2007, defeating Syria with a scoreline of 1-0 in the final. The attention was now on India's youthful football team. Sunil Chhetri's name is getting increasingly well known and recognized. The forward has scored 80 goals for India, which makes him the third highest active goal scorer in the international football, and he is just behind the current football superstars Ronaldo and Messi. A lot of homegrown talent has been promoted, particularly in the ISL, and marketing folks have worked hard to ensure that these names are remembered by viewers. The media's coverage of football matches and tournaments has expanded dramatically, owing to the high demand of information. Since then, football in India has grown exponentially, and many foreign teams and other capitalists are eyeing the Indian football market. Many European teams have tied up with some Indian clubs in an attempt to raid unpolished talents at the grassroots level. Few years back, a few years back, Spanish giants Atletico Madrid announced their franchise partnership with West Bengal club Atletico de Kolkata, which later ended soon. The parent business of City Football Group, EPL giants Manchester City, purchased a significant investment in Mumbai City FC on November 28, 2019. This was the first time a big European club like Manchester City purchased a controlling share in an Indian club. With all this to say, the future of Indian football looks promising. Football has a long way to go before it can compete with cricket in India in terms of popularity and also in terms of money creation. But there is no denying that it has piqued the interest of country's youth. We surely want to see the Indian football team sing our national anthem in the upcoming FIFA World Cup. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Uh, Anirban?
Hi, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hi, ma'am. Myself, Anirvan Sen from Information Technology Department. For today's Viva, I selected a topic called human psychology, or more specifically, some gesture about our mind. If I emphasize the word psychology, then it contains two Greek words, psyche and logos, meaning soul and science respectively. Therefore, psychology means the science of soul, or more commonly used as a science of behavior. As the name suggests, the field of psychology is huge or maybe infinite. That's why, for describing a particular an area called human behavior based on human psychology. Here we discuss some areas of our life where psychology plays an important role. Number one, motivation and mental health. Motivation is the most important psychological aspect that plays a crucial role in achieving our goals. I think we all have experienced this during our G preparation. That's why I haven't described it much. About mental health, I am going to describe it using a real life example. When we are under stress, anxiety, depression, or other types of mental illness, then we cannot concentrate on a particular things. Our body organ do not function well. We also consume less food than other day, even we doesn't feel the taste. Number two, academics and education. Ma'am, we all know education is not the amount of information that is put into our brain. We must have life building, man making, character making, assimilation of ideas. Here, the application of psychology comes into the picture. Psychology is closely related to education. For example, the objective of education at different classes have a psychological base. That means preparation of curriculum for different classes as per the age, ability, capacities of the learner must be based on some of the psychological principle. Number three, advertisement and marketing strategy. This aspect I think much more interesting than previous two. Okay, we all know much and less how did Facebook, YouTube become a $1 billion company. The business model and the revenue model of such company totally different. Well, this is because the advertisement company use psychological tactics to draw the attention of customer. They advertise their products in such a way that directly hits our emotion and we start thinking of buying that product. This is the example of one type of psychological mindset behind the revenue model of such company. One of the another type of psychological mindset is using the scarcity principle that involves the quick like limited time offer, exclusive item, and few item left, etc. When we read these tags on the product, we immediately start thinking of buying that product. If I share a small gesture about it, then during the Flipkart Big Billion sale of 2021, we the customer of Flipkart saved around 11,500 crores. If we assume that Flipkart gave on average 25% discount on every product. Then Flipkart sold or we bought the products of 46,000 crore in just 6 days. In other hand, Microsoft follow another types of psychological strategy in which Microsoft allow you at first to use their Windows OS at free of cost, but after 7 8 years, even more of using Windows, when you are familiar with Windows environment and goes to corporate world to explore it, then Microsoft cannot allow you to use Windows at free of cost for business purposes, and then they charge you very high amount and you have to pay for this. Last but not the least, reverse psychology. This is the another aspect we all experience already. Reverse psychology is a strategy for getting what you want by demanding or suggesting what you don't want. For example, a parent might tell their child not to pick up their books in the hope that the child will actually do the opposite. Conclusion. Psychology is the only common term which suit in every situation. If you understand the psychology pretty much, then you can feel that the EQ, emotional quotient, may actually be the more important than IQ. Even history has proven this many times. On the basis on psychology and intelligence, Chanakya made Chandragupta the first empire of a unified India from a slab. Pandavs also win the Kurukshetra war with the help of Krishna's psychology and intelligence. The desire to understand the psychological processes by which a man lives is something that he kept ever since he was able to think. That's all from my side. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Piyush,
Yes, ma'am. Good
start.
morning, ma'am, and hello, everyone. I am Piyush Pathak from Mechanical Engineering Department, and for today's presentation, my topic is importance of consistency. Have you ever wondered why some people achieve massive success while others experience failure or achieve very little? Take weight loss for instance. Some people seems to have magical ability to lose weight while others keep struggling with their fat for a long time. There could be many reasons like the person those who succeed in their field are simply more ambitious, intelligent, or maybe more luckier. But one thing which is more important and a key ingredient for achieving success is consistency. They are basically consistent towards their goal or towards their task. We can say that consistency is the ability to stay on the track in pursuit for a goal. It's the ability to hold on no matter how uncomfortable the situation is until you achieve your objectives. To be consistent means to dedicate yourself towards your goal. It requires commitment on your part. In other words, we can say that it is about building small empowering habits that we partake every single day that keeps us focused towards our goal. There is a famous quote by Anthony Robbins which clearly highlights the importance of consistency. Like, it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our life, it's what we do consistently. Uh, Another thing that consistency is not about obtaining quick results. It's for example, if a person start going to gym, then he will see no change during his initial days, but if he is consistent, then surely one day he will experience the change in his body. Many of us have misunderstanding that consistency is purely about repetition. It's rather about evolution. It's about learning, growing, and adapting our action that can help to incremental improvements over an extended period of time. In other words, we can say that it is about gaining ever greater insights and understandings about our action and subsequently making necessary adjustment which will improve our performance. At last, I'd like to conclude by saying a famous quote by James Ron that success is neither magical nor mysterious. It's the natural consequence of consistently applying basic fundamentals. Thank you, man.
Okay. Um, Harshvardhan,
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, respected ma'am and my dear friends. I am Arshavardhan Siddhamalla from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and I am going to be speaking to you about rural development. My speech go like, firstly I will utter some statistical numbers which was taken from Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and we will compare the same aspect with the developed country. And next I will discuss my view about the same aspect which we will discuss now. First we will discuss about the First, we will discuss about the numbers that was taken from Ministry of Statistics. The aspect is that gross value added, which means which sectors contributes how much country's GDP. For that instance, service sector provides about 53.89% of country's GDP, and industrial sector provides 25.92% of country's GDP, and agriculture and its allied sector provides 20.19% of country's GDP. As we check what the distribution of workforce for which the contribution of GDP is happening. For agriculture, more than 42.6% of workforce is into the agriculture sector, and which only providing 20.19% of its country's GDP. That was in India. Service sector has 32.28% of it workforce into service sector, and 25.12% of workforce into industrial sector. If we check the same aspect, the distribution of workforce and contribution of countries GDPs of developed country like America. In America, agriculture sector has
1.36% of its workforce into agriculture sector and 19.91% of its workforce into industrial sector and 78.74% of its workforce into service sector, which gives the contribution of a country's GDP like America. In if we check, 0.86% of American GDP is getting from agriculture sector, and in industrial sector 18.64%, and in service sectors more than 76.89% of its mm, country's GDP is getting from service sector. By the two countries, we can check that India is an agriculture dependent country, which means 42.12% of its workforce is going into the agriculture sector and which is employed into agriculture sector, but only giving 20.19% of its country's GDP in agriculture sector. But if we check the American contribution of GDP and distribution of workforce, it has so much balanced contribution and distribution. Contribution and distribution. That is the main factor. I suppose the why the America is leading the world. By the above two example, with our country and with America, I think we are sure and we can understand the situation what is happening in our country, that is in India. That the main and important option to do what in India to develop the nation is we have to balance the distribution of workforce and contribution of country's GDP. To do, firstly we have to develop the agriculture sector. That means if we check the numbers in India's workforce, that is 42.2% of its distribution of workforce, only giving 20.19% of its country's GDP. That means more than 50% of its workforce, that hard work of workforce is getting wasted. if we balance if we balance that the workforce with the contribution of GDP, that means if we will increase the India's GDP, double, if we can double our GDP, if we balance the contribution and distribution. To develop the agriculture sector, firstly the main concept is that to develop the rural areas. Rural development is very important aspect for the agriculture development, because so much 3 by 4th of its agriculture background is from rural areas. To do in rural areas, some fundamental elements and poverty and backwardness get rid from the rural areas. I'm glad to say that my government, our state government is following triple I formula, which is I for ideology, and I for innovation, and I for inclusive growth. On the basis of triple I formula, one program came into action, that is Palle Pragati, which term denotes in our language rural development. In this program, state government is providing every village with tractor and trolley and tanker for collecting scrap for the neatness of village and watering the plants for increase the greenery in the village, and every village provided by nursery, graveyard, dump yard, park, and etc. Especially I am fond of this program, which is implementing and giving a great response, that our state's GSDP increases rapidly in India, even though we are youngest state, that is Telangana, youngest state in India. That and my view, and I am hoping that India will follow the process of rural development which is following in our state, and India will be in the list. I confident that India will be in the list of developed country in our lifetime. Jai Hind. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Shreya,
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, start.
Good morning. I'm Shreyas Kumar from Department of Mechanical Engineering. I would like to take this opportunity to talk about what is success. Success is just a mere bullseye our unconscious brains have made and makes us dream of it when we close our eyes and ask us to work hard for it when we open our eyes. The point is so captivating, it just causes us to dress our own wounds after the every hardest fall we have and we think we can't move on from. Running after it with all that perseverance and keep running until it's achieved, sacrificing everything it takes. I question myself, what is so captivating about that point? Will it get me a lot of money or will it make me famous? Yes, there is a possibility one can get both if they become successful, but having that point in a life, most importantly, makes us an oriented person. And humans are made to be oriented and aim for that arrow and pierce that bullseye. The feeling of the shot of accomplishment can't be matched with anything in the world. Now, what is secret to success? This question reminds me of the story of Socrates and his secret to success. A young man once asked Socrates, "What is secret to success?" Socrates requested the young man to meet him near the river the following morning. They met. Socrates asked the young man to walk into the river with him. When the water rose to the neck, Socrates took the young boy by surprise and dunked him into the water. The boy struggled to get out, but Socrates was strong and kept him there until the boy started losing color. Socrates pulled his head out of the water, and the first thing young man did was gasp, and he took a breath of air. Socrates subsequently asked the young man as to what he wanted the most when he was struggling underwater, to which the boy replied, "Air." It is then, Socrates said, that is the secret to success. When you want something as badly as you wanted that air, you will get it. There is no other secret. At the end, I would like to conclude with a self-composed poem. We have to burn our souls, cry in the pain, feel the horror, bear all the indignities, bleed without guilt, bleed without wound, slay with power. That is just what it costs. And then there comes the grand success with all things when lost. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sudeshna,
Yes, ma'am.
start.
Ma'am, am I audible and visible properly?
Yeah. Start.
Good morning, everyone. I am B. Sudeshna from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and I am going to deliver a speech about my recent journey to Vaishno Devi Temple and Leh Ladakh. Um, the Vaishno Devi Temple is situated in one of the hills of Shivalik range of Himalayas in Jammu, in Katra city of Jammu, which is also known as the city of temples. We started our journey with a helicopter ride which took us 8 minutes to get us more nearer to the temple, and from there we had a walk of almost 3 kilometers to the main temple. And since it's a temple there, it was surrounded by numerous monkeys, and uh, they were very furry because of the cold climate of Jammu. We There was a long line, but after such a awaited time, when we saw the goddess with covered with colorful clothes and beautiful jewelries, it was a blissful moment. So we stayed there for a night, and then in 5 a.m. morning we went to the have a visit to Bhairav Baba temple, without whose visit we can't have completed the our Vaishno Devi journey. After it, since we were very tired, we took a horse ride, and again which uh, which horse ride to the helipad, and then again we landed to Katra city. We also visited the other temples in the Katra city, and in the next day we went to Leh. The Leh airport is named as uh, Kushak Bakola Rinpoche Airport. It is governed by our Indian Army, and that's why we can also see the fighter jet planes, and we saw a huge, nearly 2 to 3 times bigger aeroplane than ours, which was gray, dark grayish color, and it was taking off. So the whole Leh city is covered by uh, snowy mountains, and in only 3 days we covered our whole journey in Leh and to the nearby tourist spots around Leh. We went to the Pangong Lake where the last scene of Three Idiots film was shooted. Normally the lake is reflects to 6 to 7 shades of color, but in our time it was completely frozen, and that's why we enjoyed the uh, frozen while walking. We also skidding. Um, in the whole Leh city, every different types of food, Indian foods are available, but especially Momo and Maggi are available everywhere. We also visited the Hall of Fame where the stories of Ladakh and Kargil warriors are there. You will grow fully patriotism while looking at the cemeteries, which is a tribute to our Indian Army. We also visited the Buddha monasteries, which had very huge, big size Buddha statues and with very beautiful postures. The lay residents and the children there have epicantic eyes, and they are very generous and very kind to us. The children there were very confident and jolly, and talked to us very uh, in a confident manner. Their cheeks were red like apple, uh, and in that way we completed our whole journey. Yes, while going through the mountains, we saw the snowy mountains, which we also saw the Changla Pass and Khardungla Pass, one of the top pass of the whole India. There very freezing and cold, chilling winds were flowing. Some people may feel sickness and feel less oxygen there. So, but we enjoyed the snow, mountains covered with snow, and when we sometimes when we stepped over the snow, it our feet slide down at a depth because the main plane was situated at a depth and it was covered by snowfall. So in that way we completed our whole journey of the Leh city, and I think everyone should visit to Kashmir at least once. It is a rich heritage of India and paradise of India. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Krishna. Arunago,
Hello, ma'am.
yeah, start.
Ma'am, I am visible, audible.
Yeah, start.
Okay. Good evening, good morning, madam, and good morning, everyone. I am Aruna Pal from Department of Mechanical Engineering. Today, I say about artificial intelligence. So, what is artificial intelligence? According to John M.C. Carthy, who is say first about artificial intelligence, he said that artificial intelligence as a science and engineering of making intelligent machines. In a sense, AI is a technique of getting machines to work and behave like human. Artificial intelligence are is three types according their capability. At first, narrow AI. So what is narrow AI? Narrow AI is also known as weak AI that is limited to a specific or narrow area and can't perform beyond its limitation. Google Assistant, Siri, face recognition system is all are example of narrow AI. Then general AI. It is also known as strong AI. General AI has the ability to understand and learn in intellectual tasks that a human being can. China's supercomputer Tanhai 2 and Japanese supercomputer Kei computer is an example of general AI. Then super AI. Super AI exists human intelligence and perform and can perform tasks better than a human. Its existence is still hypothetical, but many science fiction movie we can see super AI. So what is the advantage of artificial intelligence? One of the biggest advantage of artificial intelligence is it reduce human error and human can overcome many risks. Digital assistants insist digital assistants interact their customers, which significantly minimize the need For human resource, you can chat with a chat bot and task them exactly what you need. Then it available 24/7 and it can take decision unbiasedly. So what is disadvantage of artificial intelligence? One of the biggest problem in artificial intelligence is it is very much high cost. Then AI cannot learn to think outside the box. It is capable of learning over time with prepared data and post experience, but cannot be creative in its approach. AI is slowly replacing a number of repetitive tasks with bots. The reduction in the need of human interference has resulted in the death of many job opportunities. For using AI bots, men do not have to memorize things and cannot solve puzzles to get job done. We tend to use our brains less to less. But as a conclusion, I like to say that everything has good side and bad side. If we go ahead with the good side, then it is very much beneficial to us. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Sohini? Sohini, are you there? Sohini?
Ma'am, am
I
I
think,
audible?
yeah, you're audible.
Okay, ma'am. Good
Turn
morning, respected madam, and
on your video.
may I start, ma'am?
No, turn on your video. You are not visible. Yeah, now you start.
Okay, ma'am. Good morning, respected ma'am, and everyone present here. I am Shohini Thakur from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and I am here to speak on the topic dependence on technology. With the growing needs and demands of people, the dependence on technology has multiplied over the past few years. Technology has brought millions of wonders in our lives, right from the field of agriculture, economics, politics to academics. However, what we must think about is how beneficial is this dependence for us. In my honest opinion, the dependence on technology has, although we in exceeding our limits in certain ways, but also at the same time constrained our abilities to communicate and to be creative. So I would say dependence on technology has indeed brought certain detrimental effects on our creativity as well as our communication skills. Ever since the dependence on technology has considerably increased and the consequences of society, countries and individuals are enormous. Technological dependence undoubtedly has a unique course that we cannot alter nor stop. It has come to redefine our lives. Technology is a phenomenon that surrounds us all with the artifacts on a daily basis. It is an element that helps us keep the changing dynamics of society. Thus, we can say technological dependence is now an essential part of our lives as everyone is reliant on it for some reason or the other. An example of this would be the use of technology at the workplace, educational centers, and even at the home to simplify work. Dependence on technology is a condition wherein individuals cannot perform their daily activities without the use of some device. Technology dependence is also linked to anxiety and depression. Factors like social withdrawal from others, the pressure from social media, the rise of cyberbullying, or the bright phone screen that is detrimental to our sleep have taken a toll on the mental health of people who are heavily dependent on technology. In spite of numerous disadvantages, one could say without sustainable development of technology, humans would merely be ordinary living beings on the planet. The inventions of man act as indicators of the cognitive revolution of the same and shows their eagerness to learn. So, thank you for listening. I hope this speech was insightful and informative.
Thank you, Sohini. Karthikeyan? Karthikeyan?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, turn on your video. Yeah, now start.
Good morning, ma'am, and hello everyone. I'm Galigard Skian. I'm going to speak about India's dilemma on Russia-Ukraine war. It's day 35 of Russia-Ukraine war, and things are going from bad to worse. War started as a fight between two nations, is slowly dividing the entire world, and what comes next is yet to be defined. Many believe a new Cold War is upon us, a war that could drag us into a world of arms race, espionage, proxy wars, and new rivalries. Cold War politics is also making a comeback. There are two clear power blocks. On one side, we have anti-Russia camp led by US and aided by the collective might of NATO, supported by the host of democratic countries. Together, they are planting this war as a fight between autocracy and democracy. Now, the pro-Russian camps, Belarus, Armenia, Central Asian republics, Syria, North Korea, and Cuba, some sworn enemies of US. All these countries blame Western influence and NATO expansionism for this crisis. What about the countries which are in neither camp? There are many such countries that don't want to take sides in this war. They are under immense pressure to do so. On the top of the list, it's India. It shares close ties with both camps. US is India's largest trading partner, Russia is India's defense partner, US is India's quad ally against China, Russia is India's time-tested strategic ally. New Delhi doesn't want to pick a side, and India has been under immense pressure to do so. But so far, it's been firm in exercising its strategic autonomy on at least three occasions. India has abstained on at least three occasions. India has abstained from voting on resolutions condemning Russia. First at United Nations Security Council, then at United Nations General Assembly, and then again at United Nations Human Rights Council. On each occasion, India called for an immediate ceasefire, stressed on peaceful coexistence, and urged for diplomatic talks. And India was not alone in doing this. UAE, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and even Pakistan took this line. But for some reasons, India's abstention have upset the West. They say India has chosen the aggressor side, and this has apparently weakened its democratic credentials. New Delhi says it has acted only on its national interests, and its first priority was to evacuate its citizens, nearly 20,000, most of them being students from Ukraine, and the speed at which the crisis unfolded made the evacuation a big challenge. India was caught off guard and it could not risk the safety of its citizens. It needed security assurances from both sides to evacuate its people. And in fact, it is said that evacuation plan worked perfectly only because India kept its line of communications with Russia open. India's second priority was to secure its strategic interests. Russia accounts for almost 60% of India's defense requirements, bilateral trades of around $8.1 billion, and collaborations run from G20 to SCO and above everything else. Russia's support for India at UN is unparalleled. Moscow has always taken care of India's interests. I can recall at least three occasions when Moscow has either used veto power or voted to block a resolution against India. In 1957, it blocked a proposal to deploy UN troops in Kashmir. In 1961, it voted against a resolution asking India to withdraw troops from Goa. And in 1962, it blocked a resolution on Kashmir brought by Pakistan. It was US on the wrong side of the history on all these occasions. It backed all these resolutions against India. But the equations have changed since. Today we have the most friendliest government that India has seen in last 60 years. But history should not be forgotten and India has to prioritize its national security. It is located in a difficult neighborhood. To its west lies the terror state of Pakistan and to its east lies the expansionist China, two hostile nuclear armed neighbors. If India sides with US, it will push Russia further into China's embrace, and that's the last thing we want. Russia-China axis threatening India. For India, the situation is already far from ideal. Plus, there is economic impact. The war is hurting budgets. Crude oil prices have already shot up, and Russia is offering cheaper oil price to India. India is buying it too, and the West is having a meltdown over it. Western experts say if India keeps buying Russian oil, it could soon get sanctioned. 2 years back, when Chinese troops attacked India in the middle of pandemic, what did the West do to ensure India's security? It looked away. There were no sanctions, no resolutions, no assistance, and very little confirmation. It was Moscow that played a role, and in fact, it dialed down tensions between Beijing and New Delhi. Russian defense supplies helped India counter the PLA's aggression on the border, the same West which repeatedly undermined India's security concerns. Now asks what India has done or is doing for the European security. Well, that's hypocrisy for you. And finally, in a hope that Indian diplomats and the concerned politicians will resolve this dilemma and preserve India's strategic interests in this crisis, I conclude my speech. Thank you everyone for your patience. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Shreya?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am, and my fellow batchmates. I am Shreya Jaiswal. Good morning, ma'am, and my fellow batchmates. ये box क्यों ऊपर? Ma'am, wait a minute. And now I'm visible.
Yeah. Now you can start.
Good morning, ma'am, and my fellow batchmates. I am Shreya Jaiswal from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and today I am going to present my views on the topic gender equality doesn't mean concession for women. First of all, I would like to define the term gender equality. It refers to the state in which access to both rights and opportunities are unaffected by gender. But the patriarchal society in which we live has always considered women as secondary and inferior to men. Even in the 21st century, we can see that there is discrimination based on gender in almost every part of the world, except few Scandinavian countries like Sweden, Finland, Iceland, and Norway, where it is minimum. Statistics have also shown that there is high illiteracy rate among women as compared to men around the world. And due to this low literacy rate, child marriage, which is a punishable act, is promoted in many parts of the world. Women are often paid less as compared to men despite of having same qualification and education qualification and same management skills. Also, in India, women are not employed to work in any mine from the provision of Section 46 of the Mines Act 1952 by the Indian government. According to a survey by UN, women do 2.6 times more unpaid domestic work than men, while families, societies, and economics depend on this work. For women, it leads to lower earning and less time to engage in non work activities. While women have entered in political positions in recent years, including through the use of special quotas, they still hold only 23.7% of the parliamentary seats. In the private sector, women globally occupy less than one third of senior and middle management positions. Therefore, gender equality is very important as it is linked to development and is vital to the realization of human rights for all. Equality between men and women exists when both are able to share equally in the distribution of power, have equal opportunities for financial development, and opportunities to access equal education and develop personal ambitions, etc. From the points that I have mentioned, I can say that gender equality is not a concession for women, and we should promote gender equality in every possible way we can because it will not only improve the condition of women but also give balance to our society in every aspect, whether it is social, economic, or cultural. It is well said that if you educate a boy, you educate an individual, but if you educate a girl, you educate a community. With this, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shreya. Uh, so today we will be ending with Shreya. Next week we'll be starting with Mokya. Okay. Since it is already time, we'll be starting with Mokya. Is it okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So you can leave. Thank you, class.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.